Hey, it's your girl, Casey here, and today I want to talk about doing Grabr trips during the pandemic. Now, leisure travel's not recommended right now, but homegirls still need to make some money, so I made a couple Grabr trips because Grabr's one of the ways that I support myself. I made 3 Grabr trips over the last year, and I created this video to help you understand how to be a responsible Grabr traveler. But this video is not only for people traveling with Grabr, it's also anyone who's interested in the insights and the process and steps it takes to travel during the pandemic. First thing first, do your research. Planning travel right now is a pain right now, as it should be, so it's very important to look up all the guidelines before.
First thing I do is go to travel.state.gov and type in the country of interest and look for the COVID page. This page is the mecca of COVID information. It lets you know the entry and exit requirements, how much COVID tests are in that country, and any lockdown or quarantine restrictions. And note, it's important to keep checking the requirements because I have bought a flight and then had entry requirements change.
Speaking of booking flights, be flexible in this changing environment and book directly with the airline instead of an online travel agent, just to relieve any stress in case flights have to change, because that's also happened to me.
After you've done your research, it's time to get the PCR test. I can even count how many nose Q-tips I've gotten, and it's funny because I actually quite like the PCR test. It clears me up. But usually every test I've done, I've gotten the results back in 48 hours, which is good because most countries are requiring a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to departure.
But also remember to check any requirements for your layover cities. I've had a layover which required me to have a negative rapid test 4 hours before departure, so that's what I mean by research every part of your flight to make sure you're covered for entry requirements. And make sure you also take into consideration the extra costs for COVID tests when you're planning your travels. For me, tests usually can be free or up to $300.
Well, what do airports and flying look like now? Let's have a look.
Is checking out the Grabr. I'm keeping my 6 feet distance. And our last insight is about delivery delays. I've delivered Grabs up to 6 months late during this pandemic, and each shopper has been very understanding. They understand it's a changing environment and they still accept the Grabs no matter how late they are. And that's reassuring given this climate. So don't be afraid to go on the app and still plan a trip. And a lot of Grabs are way in the future now as well, because people understand it might be difficult to travel during these current conditions. So you can still plan for future trips with Grabr, or if you plan a more recent trip and things get canceled or delayed, shoppers are understanding.